time for match 2 of the LCO in the second round of the round robins. Of course, I'm joined by the two beautifulest men on the broadcast. Ugly side here, pretty side over there. Mostly in the middle, Mr.
Always
Jukes,
in the middle.
how you feeling?
Always in the middle, huh? Because I heard two beautiful men on the broadcast, and
nah, bro, it's
we
all
didn't
about
say
you,
which
mate.
men. We didn't say which men.
It's all about
it
you,
could
bro.
be. Honestly,
I'll take the L.
I saw the producers the other day in the back, and there's some pretty beautiful men back there
true.
too. So
That's
we
true,
don't
it is
actually
true.
know who the beautiful ones are. Maybe we could get a poll going and see. I'm
True.
sure there's someone who I will not mention that's beautiful, just in case that person doesn't want to be named, and I'm not actually sure. You know, if
I
the
have no
person
idea
I'm
who you're
talking
That sounds like a
about
bit of a
wants to be
riddle that now Trat is just going to be spamming names at and hoping for
I
the
hope he
best,
comes
eh?
into my ear and says I can call him what I call him.
You're talking about Mr. Producer.
okay.
Yeah, Mr. Witherby!
The faceless man.
Mr. Witherby is the guy in our ears all the time for the guys in Twitch chat that don't
He's
know.
a beautiful soul.
He's a beautiful man. I've never seen him, but I can tell he's beautiful.
It's true. It's true. Don't worry, Juve. Next time I'm in the studio, I'll send you some pictures so you can
Thank you.
figure out if he's beautiful or not, which he certainly is. Now, moving into a bit of discussion about the game, it's going to be Legacy and Chiefs for match 2. Now, are we going to be on the Incursio hype train, or are we expecting Dragku and the Merry Men to get this one over the line for Chiefs, Juice?
Dragku for me is a player who respects players. So I do think they're going to target ban Incursio. He is the shining, the beacon of light for Legacy. So it would not surprise me if we just see 3 bans go towards that role in particular. And I think when they do so, then Chiefs will have an easier day than most teams have had.
Okay. So what do you think Chiefs are going to be doing in that mid lane? Because Kisei has gone up against Incursio once already, and that was when we first saw Incursio playing Yone, I believe. So do you think they'll let that one slide through?
I think that's one of the ones you can't let through. In fact, to have him on Yone, I think Katarina, Yone are the two you can't let him have. Third one is up for discussion depending on what he's been working on. But I think, more than anything, more than pick ban, Chiefs are just going to want to have a solid early game, right? Zero mistakes, not dying to ganks, being disciplined, and closing games out when they get the lead. Because, again, we've seen this split, we've seen the best of the Chiefs, and we've seen the worst. In the sense that, they've been their own worst enemy, and they've never really set themselves up for success in games that they've lost. So I think a mentality shift from them, or just a slower paced game, if you will, is something that I'm looking to see from them. Because when it comes down to team fights, when it comes down to execution, they're one of the best teams in the league. It's just whether or not they can get there on an even footing.
Yeah, I'd love to see Swaif get a comfortable champion that has a ton of presence, especially early game presence, to try and put the burden on towards... I nearly called him Shy, but I'm so used to spamming chat. To put the pressure on Sybil to then have to try and do something, right? We saw in that last time, Swaif was all over it, right? Really causing massive headaches. We see that they don't really put too much attention towards the bot side of the Chiefs. Really leave them to fend for themselves and do what they do best and bust at the Heimerdinger if need be. But I'd really like to see Swaif get a massive advantage in his own head-to-head, and then look to try and put Lived on either a split pusher or a tank or anything that can put Winter in a bit of trouble as well. Because we know that Winter is a bit of a loose cannon, right? He'll play pretty much anything. Azir top, Lucian top. So
yeah.
I feel like that would be the area if I was Chiefs that I'd want to really try and target.
Yeah, we've seen Heimer actually banned a fair few times as well. People just don't want to go up against Mboma's Heimerdinger. But look, let's talk about Legacy now, the other side of the Rift, and what they're going to be doing and how they expect to win this game. Because Chiefs, well, they cannot afford to lose these matches.
No, they can't. And I think like a lot of credit goes to Incursio, right, in this roster, but a big part of it when they have success is Sybil. Whether he can have his game that's on or whether he's off. Because there's two different Sybils, I found. It's when he's really on, he can contest, some of the best junglers in this league. He's got, a lot of kill participation in the early game. This game in particular, Sybil was on. Yes, they didn't verse an outfit that was the same caliber of Chiefs, but nevertheless, he had to put up a bit of a blinder and some big numbers to get the win for his side. So the question for me is, can Sybil have another game like this? Because Incursio, whilst he had a decent game, he didn't have a great game. And I think Sybil sometimes goes a little bit underrated or undervalued in what he does for the team. It's just that he's not on all of the time, Skimmy.
Yeah, I mean, if he's on something, he definitely will be the star go-to. And I say this is why the biggest importance really starts to fall onto him. Hopefully, it's not too big a burden to try and shoulder, right? Because he's really going to Swaif that's going to hit him with that presence. So if he's there, I feel like that could be a massive factor that will contribute to Legacy getting this dub. But I'd like to also show attention to Start and Amelg. I feel like they've been going under the radar. A lot of attention's been shown towards Sibyl and Curcio. I feel like those two also been really impressing me lately. You know, see some of their KDAs and what they've been busting out. Last time these two teams went up against each other, they went for the fasting center. I don't think that is their strongest suit. I'd love to see them have a composition that can challenge in those 2v2s, and I'd like to see them almost put a little bit more of the spotlight on themselves to maybe alleviate pressure on some of their teammates.
Well, look, it is time to bring Nat back into the conversation because it's time for the pre-game interview. So how is it down on the sidelines, and who have you managed to find down there, Nat?
Look, it's looking pretty fresh, and even though we've talked about Sibyl and Swaith, I'm actually joined by Mboma and Amelg. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. Amelg, I want to ask you, man, this is just going to go straight for it. Do you spend more time on the memes or in scrims?
That's actually classified data. I don't want to leak any of our scrim stuff, but probably around a 50-50 split, I'd say.
Okay, I mean, it's good to know that you're not putting all your eggs in one basket. But how are you guys feeling down there on Legacy coming into the second round robin?
Pretty good. I think spirits are a lot higher compared to last week, considering we're 2-0 up so far. So hoping to make it a 3-0 against Mboma today.
It's looking likely. You guys are looking pretty strong lately. But what about the Chiefs camp in Mboma? How are you guys down there?
I think we're feeling pretty confident because we played them before and we beat them last time. So I think we're pretty confident going in, even though they've been looking a little bit scary recently.
Is the play scary, or is it more the content coming out of Amelg that you're more worried about?
I think the content's actually scarier. He has actually the best content in the entire region, and I was talking to him before. We used to play on a team together last year on Mammoth for a little bit, and I don't remember him being a content king, but for some reason now he's just making the best content ever on Earth. So it's a bit intimidating, honestly.
Well, there you go, Amelg. You've pinned him to the corner on the Rift and also on Twitter. I wanna know. I want to know what sort of prep have you guys been doing coming into this one, and also what are your expectations for the rest of this round robin, if you want to start, Amelg?
I'd say our preparation is mostly consisted of just thinking of what kind of memes we want to post after we beat all of the teams in the league. It's pretty tough, honestly, to keep thinking of new ideas, but I think we got some good brains in our team, so it's going well.
That's good to hear. Mboma, you said you guys have gone up against each other before, and you're not as nervous because you guys did win last time. Were there still any takeaways that you had from that game that you'll be taking into this one?
Yeah, I think Legacy have looked a little better in their last couple games, and we're definitely not underestimating them, and we've come in pretty prepared going into Legacy. And I think that they have been changing their roster a lot, and there's been a lot going on, so I think they have a bit of momentum, but I'm pretty confident that we're going to win.
That is good to hear. My last question, oh my God. I can't even take you serious, Amelg. My last question, Mboma, I'll start with you first, is what do you think is Chiefs' greatest area of improvement? Where do you guys think that, started the split, you weren't doing great, and now you've just really, straightened it out?
I think we are all pretty good individually. I'd say that's probably our strength. I think that's probably something that wins us games more often than not. And we probably have other areas that we need to work on. But I'd say just individual player skills probably our best.
And Amelg, what about you guys over at Legacy? And you can't say memes because it's very evident you guys have upped the game in that one.
I think I'm lagging a bit. Greatest strength is probably... It's hard to say. It's hard to say, honestly. We're just too good. I don't know what to say. I'm sorry.
That is all good. Sometimes it's like that. You think you're just so good in all the areas you can't pick one. I totally understand that. But thank you both so much. Good luck with the game. I'm very eager to see how this one plays out, and I'll see one of you teens on the other side.
Good to see that there was no leaked strats.
And nod
in
of the
the
head.
interview
Matt's
there.
just like,
Yeah.
thanks, guys. Cheers.
Yeah, and they're like,
It's like, all
You
right,
know-
yep, thanks, Chief. See you later.
Yeah.
Yep.
you ban the memes away from Amelg and he's speechless. He just doesn't know what he's going to do.
And I had
Yeah,
no idea he was
absolutely.
like that because I worked with him for a year as well, and he was just quiet. He never said a word, never tweeted, never said a word.
Wow.
And,
Finally
and
coming
I'm
out of
seeing
his
this
shell.
guy come out, and I'm shocked. I'm in awe. My mouth just open every time I watch him.
Well, look, I think I'm about to be shocked as well because I see a big damn storm cloud and some thunder rolling over.
I've been hearing that one, Mac.
Yeah, let's see how this goes.
It's coming.
We might both end up dropping out at the same time. But if not, look, at least see our predictions for how the games are going to go rather than the rest of the broadcast for us. So let's look here. It is split down the middle between the four of us, myself and Nat, both going for Legacy here. Hoping that they can finally get that third win on the board, and Jubes and Skimmy for Chiefs. So Jubes, you want to talk us through your thought process here?
I just think across the board, the Chiefs, in terms of laning phase, just better. And that can open up a few opportunities in the sense that, you know, you get prio in a lane that you maybe shouldn't. You get a little bit of leeway in the river, in the Scuttle Crab contest, in the early Dragons. And then it just has a flow-on effect and transitions into the team fights. You know, 1 to 2k lead out of laning phase, and then, you know, it's as good as done.
What about you, Skimmy? Any thoughts on your side of things for the Chiefs pick there?
Yeah, I think Jubes mentions a number of really good points, right? The fact that, you know, coming into the 15-minute mark, they find themselves in leads, and then they have that sort of discipline to play things out. I think for me, Legacy have a little bit too much volatility. We talk about, you know, if Sybil's on one, he'll pop off and he'll carry. But I feel like it's too much of a burden at times, especially in a matchup like this where he is going to have a big emphasis on jungle. I feel like Swaif can execute upon that, emote spam him like Juice has coined it, right? And really put him into tilt hell.
Yeah, just let him know. And Nat, look, I think you're on the same side as me. Are you going in this one hoping that it's in Curzio's day?
A little bit, but it's also, I think, they kind of feel really on par for me. I think a lot of it comes down to draft and day for sure, but there is a lot of confidence coming out from the Legacy guys. Even just when you talk to them in an interview, you can see it. And I just don't know where the Chiefs are at in their own head. I think sometimes it's very easy for them to kind of catch themselves out. I also think Legacy have found their like trick, or like exactly what they need, which is reining themselves back whilst they're playing the game to get that win. So I think it's just one of those things. Chiefs aren't confident in themselves, and Legacy seem to have found what could win them.
I just remembered that Chiefs is the team that wins one then loses one, right? And they just came out of a win, so I think we could be in trouble, Nat.
Did they just come out of win?
They did. What did they lose?
Wait, Mac, maybe it's a conspiracy. They had an FF against Mammoth. They've lost to Direwolves. They're due a win. You
Yeah,
just
they're due
outplayed
for a win.
yourself.
They're due for a win right now, so I think we might be up shit creek, Nat. Someone... this is...
You have a
this is going to
paddle?
be a rough
Mac,
one.
you're supposed to tell me this before I put my predictions in.
I didn't think of it either, all right. Nat, we're in this together, all right. We're down the river without a paddle, and there's no coming back from that. But look, something that you guys can figure out ahead of time, or use at least to figure out how genetically superior or inferior you are, you know, compare yourself to both Skimmy and Rusty, who have done their assessments at the moment, is Esports Assessment Labs. Jump on over there. You can test your reaction time, test your cognitive ability, and see just how much of a gamer you are in terms of physicality and mentally. You know, I'm mental myself, so it's really hard for me to even consider going to the site because I know I'm going to fail every single test. And hopefully, well, I'll do it before the end of the season. But look, it is time to jump into Champ Select. So Nat, we'll see you on the side lanes, and we'll see you after the game.
Thank you, guys.
And boys, time for you guys to take us in.
Here we go, Juice. It's another El Clasico, another chance for these two teams to showcase what they're all about, and an important game in the context of what this could mean for the standings, right? We talk about 5 teams out of the 8 that can advance through to the playoffs, and with the run of form that Legacy have been in, you would start to say maybe this is their journey to try and, you know, creep into that position, build upon the success of the first round robin. And as for Chiefs, you know, they've definitely been in the upper as well. They've got a clear identity of how they want to play from that. Is it a case of deviating and improving in other areas, or sticking to what's worked so far and just getting better at that?
I think not enough time to deviate, right, and create multiple identities. I think it's easier to get good at one identity and have a few champions that facilitate that. You know, interestingly enough, there's been no Katarina ban. No Katarina respect.
Yeah, that's a bit of a concern for me, right? The fact is we had one game where it got let through, Pentanet BM'd it, said we don't think it's good enough. He put on an absolute clinic, nearly was the difference maker, right, to take that victory in favor of Legacy and cause a bit of an upset. But then we've seen it perma-banned against since. So I wonder if Chiefs are now trying to present him with a situation of, we have an answer to this, I dare you.
But the problem is when you draft a Lilia this early, it's very hard to pair that with Katarina.
Yeah, double AP.
Incursio did say to me though, you can opt in for the AP build of Katarina or the AD build, right?
Sure.
The AD build, we've seen him build in the OPL, which was like the Blade of the Ruin King into a few other items. I'll have to refresh my memory on that one. But so potentially he does lock in the Katarina and opt in for the AD build. But you know, I still don't think it would be the most optimal 2v2 pairing in the world. So we'll have to wait and see how this one unfolds. Now, Incursio is a very good Yone as well. So keep your eyes on that. Maybe that's something he's going to want to pick up before the second phase of bans. He's a very confident player too. So he's not afraid to just pick it and, hey, here, take counter pick. I'm fine. I'll play whatever I want.
Yeah, I think I remember your quote, which I'll adjust slightly, that, he brings a different kind of aspect to playing mid lane, right? That his interpretation is, I am going to play like a bit of a solo queue, trying to find an appropriate way to put this.
But no, my thing about Incursio is that he'll often roam in timings which he shouldn't.
Yeah.
In the sense that he'll have a minion wave under turret, and he could roam to bot lane and maybe get 2 kills, but he could also maybe not get 2 kills and lose the minion wave.
And it feels disrespectful.
Yeah, he'll always take the gamble. He's a gamble mid laner, right? He'll always, flip the coin and say, okay, I'm going to go try my luck roaming topside instead of farming that wave. And he'll admit it himself because he's almost been conditioned to have it almost always work in his favor, at least from solo queue. So then now he kind of does it here to a lesser extent, and it works. Like, they've won a couple games off it. So it's just about refining that process and finding the right windows to do that.
Yeah, and he hasn't fallen into the trap here of picking up Katarina in the first rotation of these picks. Worth noting to highlight the person that last time these two teams met at the start of the season, 3 bans went his way. Katarina, Yone, as well as a Zed. So expecting to see Chiefs decide to throw a few his way in this next rotation. But this is kind of the bot lane discussion I wanted to bring up, the fact that we have the Xayah. So we're going to deviate away from a more scaling option here from Legacy. They want to fight fire with fire. They want to be aggressive, pair that with the fresh, and get in your face. Especially when you're going up against a Nocturne and a Rel that really want to come at you and cause problems.
I also think, though, the one thing I want to touch on is, like, yeah, they've got the Thresh. They've also locked in Ezreal, not the AD carry that we're used to seeing. But I actually don't mind it here. Obviously, I would have preferred a Kai'Sa, but the reason I don't mind it is because composition from Legacy so far isn't tanky. And the way that Ezreal itemizes, it does a lot more damage to squishier health targets as opposed to the tankier ones, as we see Katarina get banned away there. So this might be a high-value game for the Ezreal, just purely based off champion picks. Obviously, you have to survive the laning phase. Having counter-pick support is not easy, but, Arcane Shift does keep you quite safe. Now, Skimmy, the other thing we haven't touched on that I want to mention is the Nocturne pickup. Something that Swathe historically has played in the jungle, but something that historically Kisei more recently has been picked up in solo queue and played it in the mid lane. And I think that might have been an early pick, which is a deterrent to the Katarina of Incursio.
Yep.
So now they've just got this flex where, depending on what Incursio picks, they're able to match that with Nocturne or put it in the jungle, worst case scenario.
Yeah, and it forces out a Fiddlesticks ban as a result too, because those two combined together just prove to be so frustrating to deal with. So I like it. It's a good acquisition and another flex option to add to the table. Now, Xayah being hovered, forget the sign for a second. This would be interesting. It's not going to be the case, though, as they're going to flex through a few other picks. Just to quickly return to your point on the Ezreal, last time the Chiefs did play this, they paired it with a Soraka, and they were able to scale into Oblivion to match that of the Fasting Center. But the adaptation here allows him to be nimble and allows pretty much the Emboma brand, right? If there's no priority coming his way, if he's left to fend to himself, then it's a nimble champion, much like the Heimerdinger, that can do what it does best on its own. Yep, forget that though. Fiora and Yone, they are the talking points.
Yeah, and Yone, I think if you know Incursio, if you're watching Incursio, it's something that, the Evelyn. So I'll touch on it bit by bit. Incursio, obviously very big Yone player, made his name in solo queue after the Katarina on the Yone. So it's definitely something that he's got a lot of time, a lot of hours into, and he's comfortable on. So you'd have to say that's a big pickup for Incursio. Now, this Nocturne was kept till last pick. Now, I think Chiefs would have known that the Yone was coming and they had the Nocturne prepared. This is something that Kisei's prepared.
Yep.
Because Swaith is a very big Evelyn player. You can go back, multiple seasons across the board. Swaith has always favored that Evelyn, really likes that playstyle, farming for 6, very good pathing, and then looking to influence the map. So both compositions are actually, if you will, comfort. Whereas I think Chief's composition is a little more, we know what you're going to do. It's a little more predictable the picks Legacy are going to have. So let's have this prepared. And it looks like this is what Chiefs prepared for the side of Legacy.
These are our answers to it. This is how we want to deal with it. We've got that flexibility, and we know what you're going to be drafting as a result. And it feels that we're seeing this happen a few more times now, right? I date my mind back to the Chiefs Direwolves game where they left up Udyr. They said that, Swaith, this is too good of a champion to pass up, and Direwolves built a composition, built around that to try and address it. So I like the fact that we come into another game like this where you can see that Sybil loves the Lilia. It's his best champion so far that he's performed on. Yes, we know he's a fantastic Elise, but when he's been on one with the Lilia, he's been popping off. They matched it with the Evelyn, and this is what I really want to see come out of Chief's best player, right, from Swaith, that, I can really abuse you, really get in your face and cause chaos where maybe you're second-guessing your own decisions.
Yeah, and the interesting pick for me, Skimmy, here too, is the Fiora. Sion, I think right now is an S tier top laner because A can be flexed, can be put mid lane, but ultimately the itemization is just so good, so efficient, and it just really does a job. And it also, Sion does do enough damage to be a threat, especially in the mid-game bridge, right? Where you're able to just group around objectives, start team fights. The base damage from Sion alone is enough to be relevant. And Fiora is one of those slower starting top laners where you have a good laning phase into the Sion to a certain extent, but you don't necessarily take over the side lane or the game until 2-3 items. So, Winter always throws us these curveballs. And, you'd have to say Fiora's a far way away from what would be the Azir. So it's going to be interesting to see how he pilots that one. But Legacy obviously have drafted, the 1-3-1 type composition. Yone wants to be in the side lane, Fiora in the side lane too. So, yeah, it'd be cool to see how they navigate.
Certainly will be cool to see how they navigate as they've split decisions here on the analyst desk. Down the middle between who thinks this one, or who thinks, Legacy or Chiefs will win. And this is what I highlighted before, right? Legacy have that volatility there, able to showcase that they can pretty much play anything. Winter is that wild card. You just don't know what he's going to choose. He'll play Azir top. Now he's busting out Fiora. Continues to showcase all these unique champions. Now, worth noting, MLK put a ward in the laning brush. Didn't go that way, didn't get spotted, but he will get spotted this time as he recalls. Out comes Draco going for the flash knock-up, now looking for the Q from the side, forcing out the flash as well. Both bot laners, or both supports, won't have flash for this laning phase.
Does feel like a little bit of miscommunication there. Draco was, going in for the flash, committed to the play. He had his mind made up already, whereas the rest of the team was kind of pathing away, and that half a millisecond or a millisecond of indecisiveness probably makes ML live there. Able to flash away, and you could almost chain CC there with Sion if Liv was on the same page, but Sion very late top lane too, so this isn't something that you really want to happen when you're playing this tankier matchup. Level 2 gank.
Certainly is a level 2 gank, and as we consider if that gank were to be the case, we can check in with Legacy's coach here in Ceres. Welcome once again. We see another little fight take place here, so I might have to actually cut myself off as we're talking. But quickly, talk to me a little bit about this draft. It's an incredibly spicy one. We know what El Clasicos have been of past, but, talk me through some of the curveballs thrown this way with the draft.
Well, basically both teams actually want to do kind of the same thing. I would say that they have the advantage in terms of picking the side lanes because they have the ability for Nocturne and Evelyn with stealth-wise. But we have a lot of outplay potential with Yone and Fiora. So I think that if any one of our side laners get out of control, they're in a really, really difficult position. But for sure, if we go into the mid game with just 2 even mid and top lanes, then Evelyn can run amok. So yeah, it's going to be up to us to just keep track of Evelyn, make sure we're paying attention to which side on the map she's on, and have our jungler hover at the right times.
Well, I hate to be that guy, Ceres and Juves, no doubt. We're getting tons of action. Bit of a delayed interview to get into this one, but we're seeing a ton of action already taking place here. I might just leave it at that for the moment as we jump into this one, just to see what's going on here, because Juves, it's happening all across the map.
Yeah, it is really, really chaotic, and it all stems from the solo kill of Kisei. The Nocturne, you know, in theory, sounds quite good into the Yone early on at least, right? You have the spell shield, and we'll see what happened in the 1v1 here. So Incursio just opting in for the 1v1, the all-in, gets feared, and once you have that Ignite as well. Okay, so Incursio probably didn't take into account that Ignite if you had to be a guessing man, but you know, taking into account that lethal tempo in the 1v1, it's just a little bit too strong early, and Incursio, you know, paid for it with his life, and then trying to recover the lane. Sybil made a play in the mid lane, a little bit too aggressive, flashed onto the Nocturne. Spell shield was back up again and picks up the double kill. So again, Kisei, much better performance so far, and something we wanted to see out of him, right? We hyped him up at the start of the split, had a few shaky games, had a few games where he was getting solo killed, but I think he's really coming into his own now, and we might see a counter gank here, Skimmy. Certainly might see a counter gank right now, as Liv will have that Afterlife form is so desired. Now they're trying to bait their time here with a flash. Looking to try and juggle around the arrow. Oh no! Sybil's dead! And Winter Mage just fall on down there. Oh, it's an absolute disaster. They've misplayed it horribly. And now a gank might take place in the river as well, as Swaif rocks on through. He actually try and take down Incursio. He's going to slingshot back, and now Nocturne is 4-0. It's all things Chiefs on the top half of the map. Down in the bottom lane, Styles able to pick up a kill, but 5 minutes in, 5-1. It's not a good look. And again, we talked about the shining light for Legacy, you know, going under the radar, being Styled and MLG, and they're showing us why in this scenario, picking up the 2v2 kill bot lane, but it is ultimately just collapsing everywhere. Legacy are the ones being proactive and making these plays, but Chiefs are just responding extremely well, and Dracu's the one that goes in here, gets rooted, and just, just walk down. So very good 2v2 there. And that's why we see the Thresh picked into the Rel 9 times out of 10. Because of instances like that where you just deny the engage from the Rel with the Flay, and you're able to just walk down Rel once she uses that little bit of mobility to get on in. Yeah, because once she's dismounted, very, very hard, right, to really get out of harm's way. You're incredibly slow as a result, and completely punishes the attempt there from Dracu, and Boma out of range, unable to really assist there. And free pickings there for the Legacy bot lane. It's the area that I love to see really pop off. They've definitely been that undertaker in recent games, showing that, hey, it's not all about the Sybil and Curcio show. We can definitely hold our own as well, and it'll be a lane that I'd love to see continue to see favor as mid and top right now. Have been where Legacy have been pressing their advantage, or at least trying to be proactive, but the fact that Nocturne is level 6, he's got 4 kills to his name already, really going to be packing a punch. Yeah, and the one thing that I touched on briefly before the replay came on through was that, you know, most of these plays, besides the solo kill, is Legacy being the aggressor. Legacy trying to get the early game lead. Legacy trying to force, you know, the ganks on top side, or force the gank into the mid lane. And they're ultimately just being outplayed, right? Sion living there was just an outplay. Kisei killing Sybil in the mid lane there was an outplay earlier. So just across the board, we talked about Chiefs being, you know, what would be considered superior laners, or, you know, just coming out with a little lead. They've made me kind of eat my words, Skimmy. They've came out with more than a lead, I would say. This is a gigantic lead. Certainly is. So little into this game, right? Only 6 minutes in, and the fact that you're looking at mid lane, you hit tab and you go, hang on a minute, this is not how it's meant to go, right? The script shouldn't be like this. We've had a couple of bans shown our way towards our mid laner. He's got one of his most comfortable champions now, finding himself 0-2. I'm not too happy about this one whatsoever, but still up for debate as to how this jungle matchup can play on through. As you can see, Swaif up by a huge margin. He's got level 6. He's invisible. So hard now for Incursio to try and disengage from this one. He flashes, but it's just too little too late. The fear goes off. Nocturne connects, and they guarantee another kill in the mid lane. Yeah, that was really cute there, though, Skimmy, right? Kisei ulting in onto Incursio, and again, actually in the bot lane. Not much amounts to it, though. But yeah, the back on that play in the mid lane, Nocturne ultimate put him behind Incursio, was able to use the spell shield and flash forward. And there's a flash forward right now. No level 6 is found here, except for Swaif, who's going to look to try and execute, and that he does. Fantastic play there and Styled. He used the flash, he burnt both sums, he has no Featherstorm, and he has no health bar remaining. It's a day of too much happening. You can't actually digest or break anything down, because the moment you do, something happens on the other side of the map. And yeah, we talked about Swaith being able to get level 6 freely. He did one better, picked up a kill and an assist before that, and now he's just absolutely flying. And this results in, you know, the one winning lane for Legacy being punished as well. And all of a sudden, 3,000 gold lead over the side to Chiefs.
And those are huge margins. I mean, when you look at gold leads and go, who might win this one by the 15-minute mark, you sometimes see leads this big. To see it at 8 minutes in, it feels disastrous right now.
And he reset. Reset Wolves for the poke there onto Sion. Are we calling worth on that one or not?
I don't know, Jeeves. He's out of mana, he's out of hope. He's got a stick and he's hitting it with a red buff. And you're down behind already in the tempo on this one. You're now going to have to sacrifice the neutral objective too. And if Chiefs look to try and put this jungle on cooldown, they could be looking at some very early soul point too.
100%. 100%. And, you know, they'll probably have the avenue and the priority to do so now. Swaith really, you know, offering a lifeline to his bot lane. This lane was probably, you know, one kill or one assist away from Legacy really taking over. Xayah does become quite snowbally, so really good recovery there. And
the timing, right? Pre-6 before Featherstorm, it was beautiful.
Very good timing, actually, you're right, yeah. And it was right before it. Maybe if Styled could have killed a minion or two, would have been 6, been a different story, but very good engage there from Dragku, leading to the charm of Swaith and picking up a kill there onto Styled.
And now Swaith, one of the biggest benefactors, second here to Kisei in the mid lane, who's, as you say, really coming into his own right now. 4 stacks on that Dark Seal. He's looking to continue to snowball, pop off, get some very free money and free stats as a result as well. And this is really what Incursio is relegated to, right? Hitting the slingshot, getting out as much damage as possible, and having the safety that he can retreat to back where he came from. I mean, he's going to need a couple of items before he can really try and challenge this Nocturne now.
I was going to say, all things considered, he's faring pretty well in the lane. Was able to trade Nocturne down, you know, trade quite well into the Nocturne there. But then, because I looked at the items and I thought, okay, Nocturne hasn't purchased for a while, and then Nocturne full bases and picks up an item. So what was looking pretty good there is going to get a lot worse now.
It's a 9-minute strike break, and now you've been soloed by the jungler.
Yeah.
I mean, this is snowball beyond belief, right? What is the average timing? Anywhere between like 13 minutes onward for your first mythic item completion?
Yeah.
He is just so far ahead. And yes, you could, you know, hit the meme, right? Yone, Yasuo, Berserker Greaves build complete, but he needs so much more right now to try and go toe-to-toe with his laner, but that of the jungler too.
Does the 10 death power spike for Yone count? Like, are we, because, you know, he's brothers with Yasuo. Right?
Sure. Same bloodline, it's all part of the family chain. Sure.
Is there a 10 death power spike that we can talk about? And here's the replay before we do talk about that. So just catching him on the base timing. Doesn't even use the charm for extra damage, for the damage amplification. Uses it for the slow rather, and might see another kill.
Oh no, Juves. It's gone from bad to worse. He's TP'd back to mid-wave and died as soon as he's got there. That is so unfortunate.
And they can't even...
They're just going to lose so many turret plates. And they summon the Herald.
Yeah, I was going to say, they can't even defend this turret, right? Like, if Sybil decided to go farm that tower, he dies as well. So, you know, he knows that, and he's looking for a bot side play. Turret ultimately takes down... the Rift turret ultimately takes down the turret, but maybe not that worth it. Could have got more Rift plates top side or bot side. There was no plates left. Yes, it executed the turret, but Kisei probably had that tower regardless. I mean, it doesn't really matter at this point, right? So far accelerated. Such a big gold lead at 11 minutes. You're just pretty much putting the Rift Herald down there just for tempo at that point, right? You just want to get the turrets down as quick as possible, counter jungle all those jungle camps, and just extend your lead.
Just open up as many pathways, right, into your opposition side of the map, be it jungle camps or be it ganking angles. And now you've got 2 towers in the mid lane. 1 dead and 1 destroyed, and second rather crippled. Another angle for them to, you know, when we talk about this mid priority and how it can then translate into guaranteeing yourself a Herald and a Dragon, that much easier now for Chiefs to achieve.
The hardest thing to do in League of Legends as well is play mid lane, or play any lane rather, when your tier 1 turret is down early in the game, because Incursio was dying or having a tough time living with his tier 1 turret to fall back to, right, as a bit of protection. That turret's gone now. So if he's ever too far up, Nocturne's just going to ulti down mid, Evelyn's going to find the flank angle, and Incursio has to play even safer than before, which means his side lanes are going to get punished. So it is really looking quite grim. It's going to be interesting to see what Incursio does, if anything, to find his way back in the game. Maybe he has to do, you know, one of those roams that we talk about that he's known for, where he does just sack a significant minion wave. Because I do think this play here that they're trying to make is long gone. Kisei is too hard to kill as a 2-man. He might even 1v2 at this point, to be honest with you.
I mean, he really could, right? He's level 10 to the 8, 7, and 6 that Legacy are presenting him right now. Swaith's still invisible. They have no idea that he's here. Kisei baiting and biding his time. Goes the hook, hoping for the best. But the sheer panic of being invisible seems to be causing Legacy a fair degree of anxiety here.
Yeah, it's the hardest thing to play against, but I talk about Evelyn sometimes being a double-edged sword. You force teams to actually have better vision control, right? You know that they need to buy pink wards, hook lands. I think every team knows they need pinks, right? In a competitive game.
The double bait, I'll be fighting. Yes,
Yeah.
we are! Oh, pixel perfect. He hits the paranoia as the lantern goes out, goes for a roam from mid to bot, and then takes out Sybil. He tried to proc the lullaby. The lullaby gets cancelled. Animation went out, but it doesn't seem to matter. Featherstorm is there. He can't bring back the feathers. The recall is unsuccessful. 1 kill into 2. Snap back and get free. Swaith is huge. Mid jungle, 11 kills between them.
And they're getting proxied, Skimmy. It's not like it's just a skirmish one. It's happening in between 2 turrets, and you have to say, nice little play there from Kisei, right? Waited for the lantern, waited for Lilia to take the lantern before he followed with the Nocturne ultimate. Good bit of patience, nice execution there, and it's almost just a little too fed, a little too early, right? They're getting proxied, and the gold lead is quite significant, sitting at around 7,000 now. 2 dragons about to go down. It's hard to find a way back into this game for Legacy. They have a composition that should fare quite well in the laning phase, right? Not a composition where you fall behind early and they fall behind early, and it's a 9-death mid jungle. It is a 9-death mid jungle with 0 kill participation. You know, you can't really sugarcoat it. It is an absolute shellacking.
It certainly is. It's a game that you absolutely hate to see if you're on the receiving end of it right now. What does that mean for the opposition? They are fed beyond belief. Hextech Protobelt here on the Evelyn for extra mobility, because apparently Evelyn needs it, given the amount of presence that Swaith has in this map. But we're going to go for the Dust Blade here on Mboma. A reset Invisible Ezreal. It's your worst nightmare. More so than maybe the Iceborne Gauntlet of Season 10.
I mean, Skimmy, you'd be happy if the Ezreal was your worst nightmare at this point. If you said to me that Ezreal was the worst nightmare because he picked up a Dust Blade, I'd say, yeah, okay, like maybe we can deal with it, maybe we can't, but I look elsewhere and I start to see a book with a few pages in it that potentially could get a few more pages, and it could spread the word of Summoner's Rift.
10 and counting, right? He's looking to release that next book. He's currently writing it up as we speak.
Yeah, version 2.
Version 2, the sequel, as you will, yeah. Okay, well, that's Legacy looking to try and do something right now. The hook goes out, Spell shields it. Beautiful there from Kisei. He will take the lullaby as a result. And here's Lift on the flanking angle to protect him. Knocks across, disengages and saves Kisei. How is he still alive? Unbelievable play there. Lift is the hero. He might fall down for this one. Hits the headbutt and pops the ultimate. Another rotation comes through on Swaith, caught in the middle of the river. That's the first kill here from Curcio. The 6-death power spike. They might get a second. They seek vengeance, they seek blood. And they'll find 2, but boy, oh boy, the fact that Kisei didn't die.
Nice window Legacy were able to find to punish, and Swaith just got off the phone with his book publisher, and they've decided to scrap that book. They're not going ahead with it anymore, so you know, whether the content in there wasn't that good or it wasn't able to sell, maybe it wasn't family friendly, they've decided, you know what, we don't rate that book anymore, not being published. Again, Kisei, if you have to give a criticism to Kisei, it is this. Gets caught a little bit too often, sometimes plays with a little bit of disrespect, and Liv does save the day, right? Ultimately saves the day here, flashes forward, knocks him out, but then Liv is the one that falls, Liv is the one that gets caught, and Draku's left to fend by himself and fights a 0-6 power spike. And nice hook from ML. We keep talking about this bot lane from Legacy. Finding those windows, and you know, yes, it's nice. Yes, it's a nice kill. It's a nice bounty, but the huge thing here is that you lose those Magi stacks. You get those Magi stacks off of the Everland. So again, game's still in Chiefs' favor, of course. You know, Chiefs are still in prime seeding to win this one, but nice little punish found there from Legacy.
And it was a nice little punish, and it is also worth noting, if you saw there from the replay, that Mboma was in bot lane the entire time, pushing waves, pushing in turrets, and doing whatever he could to still put in some impact, right? The True Shot Barrage came across, clipped onto 2, ensured that Kisei had a little bit of pressure alleviated from himself, but that is the current game state, you know, on full display. A 4v5 is what we're dealing with. Swaith now being revealed. Out goes the paranoia, and now you're the one to get turned upon. They flash away, the box gets dropped. ML trying to disengage and run to the rest of his team. There's a blast code if they need it. Guardian procs, and Guardian survives. But Incursio falls on down, and now he'll be the next target. How goes the tipping of the Fedora? Sniped through the Mystic shot!
Okay.
It's just a little bit too clean, and now both AD carries are showcasing what they can do. We talk about Legacy's bot lane, and it is starting to pick up one. But that might be all it is, as they retreat back to their tier 2 mid-turret instead.
Skimmy, I'm a firm believer as this tower goes down, and we might even see Mboma look for a solo kill here. But I think he's just going to be happy with the turret and getting one out. Sybil might be caught. Are you caught with Sybil, or is Sybil caught with you?
I have no idea, really. What is the riddle? What does it mean? He flashes, he dashes, he hopes he can bop that blast cone, but he cannot. Winter on the flank now. Fiora trying to do whatever she can. And a one-item power spike. The blast cone is insane. And they run away. Unbelievable.
These blast cones have been MVP this game.
Yeah.
Multiple saves. And it's not every day in League of Legends in Summoner's Rift you see these blast cones have a big influence on the game, but off of the back end of this, we see Swathe just buffer the Evelynn ultimate really well there, because if Styled hits those feather rip back, Swaith's the one that goes down, and again, we talk about that Medjai's. It can become your best friend, but it also can become your worst enemy. So the fact that he's back up to 8 stacks means it is, you know, gold efficient. Nocturne ultimate on the side here too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a little bit too fair.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth there. It didn't really need any glossing over. 8-1 and 2. Another kill found, caught on side waves, and it's a bit of a concern that you had, right? How would Legacy look to try and play those side waves? Because they damn well can't group up and fight 5v5. They need to hit gold in some area. And, you know, Chiefs are saying, well, you know, what is your game plan? Because Baron's going to be spawning in 30 seconds. Herald is there for the taking. We put ourselves in Soul Point. But we might just continue to kill you and have fun with our KDAs. And Melk cool. And the Melk surrounded by 4 will fall on down.
At this point, there's not much to digest, right? It's just players walking in, getting caught, walking in for vision when members are dead, and, you know, Incursio pushing for farm. Everyone's just pushing for farm, basically, right? And this is the worst thing you can do. When you're versing a Nocturne, and when you fall behind, everyone starts to get in their head, I need waves, I need farm. And then that's where Nocturne thrives. You're going to push up to waves like the Fiora did, you're going to push up to waves like Incursio has been, and you're just going to get picked off consistently. And then ML, you know, ultimately shouldn't be there, but he's just trying to get some vision down for his team so that they can collect those waves somewhat safely. And so it's ultimately, it's just a cookie crumbling. Hate when my cookie crumbles.
Yeah, a bit of a disaster, right? When I want my sugar intake, but I can't find it. And deja vu. Another cookie and another crumble. It looked like a replay, but it's the same outcome. Or is it? No, unfortunately, Winter unable to go for that all-in-play. Tried to hit the angles, but it wasn't a winning angle.
Yeah, and Skimmy, it's problematic when your Fiora can't win the side lane. If your Fiora loses the 1v1, then that is a disaster, because there's not much that beats Fiora in the 1v1. Wait,
looking for the solo again. Featherstorm goes on out. He's going to buffer it beautifully again, but they disengage out. They bait out 2 key ultimates, bear in mind too. A nice landing gets him out to safety, so he's able to hang on to his summoners. He had none anyway, right? So he was in a whole lot of trouble. But Juves, you hate to feel defeatist and be that guy, but, you know, if you were to play devil's advocate, really, what is Legacy's best chance here? You know, is it denying a soul point? Is it playing for an Elder? Is it a 50-50 on the Baron?
Ultimately, they can't give away Ocean Soul, right? That's the first thing, because you give away Ocean Soul, then you're probably never killing Kisei, let alone lived. We haven't even had lived in much of this conversation, but he's just been silently farming away, and with the Ocean Soul, see you later, he's not dying. So first things first, you need to be able to contest that, whether that's a smite flip, whether it's you know, you win a miraculous 5v5 or find a pick beforehand. I think that's the first point of call. Then you just need to be able to win the side lane. You need to win the 1v1 against Kisei. And Fiora does have the kit to do that. Maybe Sybil or Incursio need to be there as well. So the beauty about Legacy at the moment, as Incursio is just walking... Is he walking across your screen like he's walking across mine?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, I just wanted to be sure.
It's the 1-7 barrel spike. Oh no, Style is dead. Oh no, the sweeper comes on out. He's
damage.
How dare you assassinate my Eddie carry? He goes for the all-in, he hits the ultimate, hits the thumbs up as well as he turns gold, and here comes the drive-by. Hello, Kisei takes you down. And Chiefs remind you, hey, it's a 10k gold lead for a reason.
I tried to give them an inkling of hope, and I tried to tell you how I would foresee them coming back into the game, and as I say that, I think they lose the Baron here, Skimmy, so it ultimately is just too big of a gold deficit. 10,000 gold at 22 minutes, going to be hard to recover from. Now, Legacy do look like they're going to contest. Maybe this is the one window where, you know, 3 levels down, Sybil can land a Miracle Smite, and potentially stall the game just that little while longer. We'll have to wait and see.
Drake
on the flank here.
positioning right now. He's in such a beautiful flanking angle. He has everything. Flashes, hits the ultimate, knocks the ball in place. Combine that with a sign. You're knocked up, you're dead, you're gone, it's all over. A 3-man collapse in a choke spot like that. You couldn't ask for better if you're a Chiefs fan. And they'll turn their attention straight back to the Baron.
We love a wombo combo, Skimmy, don't we? We love just, you know, saying that word. Sometimes we do it in different accents, but that's a conversation for another day. So, you know, all the best supports in every region are able to find those windows, find those flanks. Draku knows he doesn't need to be with his team on that Baron buff. You know, finds the angle behind blue, flashing the wall and just landing a multi-man rel ultimate. And, you know, the replay here, he's just biding his time. He's waiting. He knows this opportunity is going to present itself. And again, just such a good team fight from Chiefs. Yes, granted, they are a significant lead. Doesn't matter what the goal deficit is. If you execute that well, it doesn't matter if it's even. If you're behind, you're going to win that.
Every player individually here from the Chiefs showing up, all having a moment in the sun to showcase, hey, this is the reason we're so far ahead. This is the reason we are the team to watch. And I suppose I beg the question, right? What has Coach Kuden over in the, you know, the house of the Chiefs been telling these guys, right? Like, what is the pre-game pep talk that shows, hey, 24 minutes in, we're going to have 24 kills, and we're just going to do things like this. We're just going to trace straight through mid lane and take out your Yone, who's going to say, I have to slingshot back. I really don't want to, but I'm going to fall on down.
That's the funniest part about Yone's kit, right? It's like you dash away and you're like, oh wait, I do have to go back. So Incursio does fall down before the dragon. And to touch on your point about what Kuden's saying pre-game, Kuden's not a man of many words, okay? I've known him for quite a long time, the coach for Chiefs. Not a man of many words, but the words that he does say, the words that he does put out have impact. You know those guys? Not much, but impact. And so whatever that may be, whatever they're doing during the week, evidently working. So again, maybe a little bit of credit to the Chiefs coaching staff as well, if you have to put where credit's due.
They're certainly on one, I'll tell you that much, Juice. The Charmer's out there, it's being prepped. Beautiful little buffer down the riposte. Now going to go for the 1v1 angle. Hits the ultimate, gets chased on down. Oh no, it's not going to happen. He still needs far more items than that Essence Reaver there, Juice. Out comes the Lullaby. He doesn't have a stopwatch, but he does have a Zonias. He's just going to hold on to it. He knows that Stipple just does not do enough damage. He comes out of the Charmer and he takes you to sleep instead by putting you back to the fountain for 32 seconds on cooldown. It's a 3-man wombo slam here from Incursio. 1-9. He's 1 kill away from the power spike. You love to see in solo queue, but he's forced to run back to the fountain. And that bot lane inhibitor will be the first one to go.
Lift hasn't taken any damage, by the way. Ocean Soul, thank you very much. And Skimmy, while this is all transpired, you do have to feel just a little bit for the bot lane of Legacy, right?
Yeah.
You know, probably we're the most solid performers on the team. Not probably, you can press tab and come to that conclusion. And they've ultimately just been left out to dry, and Sayo probably starts to think, I can have a bit of a team fight influence here, and just does absolutely 0 damage to the Sion.
This is heartbreaking stuff right now. They can't even step up in their own jungle. Vision or not, it just does not matter. Too easy pickings, too much mobility, and quite honestly, far too much damage. Look at that! Oh, 1 Q and he's down to 3/4. It's crazy.
Yeah, and this is why we thought Ezreal might be a little bit of a better pick here, because the composition from Legacy isn't the tankiest, and this is where the Ezreal really does thrive, against compositions that don't build a lot of armor or have a lot of HP, and seeing that they're obviously with an accelerated gold lead, but you know, true to the point, Ezreal doing so much damage on the squishier targets.
Swave's caught up the publisher. The book is back on 25 pages. He's writing a sequel. He's writing a bestseller. It absolutely is a rewrite. It's a remake, and it looks better in 2021. The Chiefs take down the victory, 26 minutes on the clock, and they take down Legacy.
Very clean victory from the Chiefs. You know, no hiccup at all, really. If you had to review that game, they have to be happy with that. And the members that we wanted to see step up and we wanted to see have big games were the ones of Swathe and Kisei. And it's very good to see them to have a good game in the same game, right? Jungle mid synergy is key in a lot of teams, in a lot of victories, and they were able to synergize quite well and ultimately come out with the win in what was just the 2-man show.
I mean, they had a plan, Juves. They had a plan of what they wanted to bring out in the draft, a little bit deviating from what is the go-to meta, but it paid off beautifully from start to finish. And Mac, I mean, is there any better feeling, right, when a jungler comes your way in mid lane, you suddenly say, hang on a minute, I'm now 2-0.
Look, I don't think so. The first things first, you know, I had a chat with Rusty the other day. Oh my god, I had a chat with Rusty the other day. Sorry, I'm just waiting for food, and I think the dude's finally found it. He's been looking for the house for 20 minutes. So I'm currently in the middle of that. Anyway, said to Rusty the other day, yeah, play knocked mid, you know, it was pretty fun. And he's like, oh, you can't play knocked mid. And then lookity doody, Chiefs pick it and make it look like an absolutely stunning champion pick. Now, I'm really hoping that this trend continues and we do get to see a lot more action and, I guess, off-meta champ picks in different positions that just seem to work.
Yeah. And I mean, Natty was in my ear just then suggesting Amumu, as she always will. She's a very big Amumu connoisseur, but you know, this was kind of the beginning of the end, right? Where you start to see the jungle mid of Chiefs just get a little bit too far ahead. Oh, we've already got 5 kills in the bank between them, so you know, it was just outplay after outplay. Here was a nice little outplay from Kisei, able to follow the lantern that Sybil took, and ultimately led to more deaths than saving any lives, right? Brought the team, the Nocturne into the rest of the team, and if you're getting proxied in between your 2 turrets at 13 minutes, Skimmy, you know it's going to be a tough game.
Oh, I mean, by that point, right, you're just thinking, what do we do? You know, Chiefs were on something, right? They were really forcing their hands, saying, we're not allowing this game to get slowed down, allowing you to really do anything, right? The fact is, this here is probably Legacy's best chance at really picking up anything. They get 2. But still, Chiefs continue to fight up, right? Like, we've got a gold lead, we can take you 4v5. We're going to continue to push down bot side. We're going to play this map chronologically.
And I love how Kisei is just pressing S in the 1v1 there, right? Not even moving, really. Just drops the Ignite, takes down the Nocturne, and this was the last hope for Legacy here, but Dracu was just a little bit too clean. We won't mention the early laning phase. I'm sure he's going to be disappointed in that, and he's going to have a few things to say about, you know, losing the 2v2. And, you know, if there's one thing that you had to polish up as a Chief fan, maybe that's it. Maybe it's the laning 2v2 bot lane. Maybe too much Heimerdinger in the works, and they're not used to laning. They're used to avoiding the laning phase. But again, something to be super proud of and a very clean game.
Yeah, it was certainly something, wasn't it? Now let's bring in Nat down on the side lanes to talk to the champion of the match. Who do you have for us here, Nat?
I have the other half of the bottom lane joining me, Dracu. How are you? Congratulations on the win. You're keeping the streak going of a win-loss, win-loss. So how you feeling?
I actually think this win meant a lot to me because I've been having a lot of problems in real life, so it was good to know that my boys really had my back, especially today. Like, everyone was comforting me and cheering me up, like and yeah, they carried me, so I really appreciate my teammates for doing that. But yeah, heading in, Legacy were, I guess, yeah, we just treated them equally, and I'm glad that my team, you know, just really carried me today.
Well, I mean, as much as you say your team carried you, you did an outstanding job supporting them and putting them in that position to carry you. But talk me a little bit through the laning phase. You guys seem to have a really strong start.
I think that our mid laner is probably the best mechanical mid laner in this region. But he's obviously, it would be like wrong for me to say he's the best, obviously, because I think Chaz and Shock are both way more experienced, but Kisei's hands are definitely really young and really good. As you can see, like, he was just smurfing on everyone. But I think the early game, it was more Swaif and Ron just 1v5ing. Like, I don't know, they came in with a really good mindset today and they were just feeling it. And, well, bot was kind of rough because I got counterpicked and I just died. So.
Look, you know, you say it's rough. It really didn't look as rough as you might say it was. But, you know, I just want to know a little bit more about, like, just the setup for team fights. How is the communication going into those ones? Because you had a spectacular team fight around Baron and your setup was just so good. So, like, who was making those calls, or tell me more?
When we're turning on an objective, I guess the support should always look for a turn. And the moment they cross a certain line, you should just go. So at that time, I was calling it and I was just screaming like, go, 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 go. But yeah, I guess that turn was me. But everyone else, they played team fights, I think, really well.
Well, look, congratulations again. You played absolutely spectacular. I hope your weekend gets a little bit better and we'll see you next week for some more matches.
Thanks, Nat.
Well, there you go. So interesting take there coming out from Dragku, and I'm sure he was happy to get that W over the line. What are your thoughts on that one now? Are you happy with Dragku today?
Yeah, look, the guy is so enjoyable to talk to. As much as I rip on him on social media and in my Twitch chat sometimes, he is just really good to talk to, and such a humble guy that, you know, he's saying like his team just absolutely carried him, but they wouldn't have gotten what they got today without him. So it's just as much credit to him as everyone else.
Yeah, doing a very good job, all things considered, and it was so good to see that the Chiefs pattern continues. Lose one, win one, lose one, so you better believe next week they're up for an L. Well, let's see if that one continues. But until then, match 3 coming up not too far away, and we'll see you not too far on the other side of the break. It's going to be Order and Gravitas, so go stay hydrated, stay safe, and we'll see you in a minute.
Certainly might see a cannon gang right now as Liverpool will have that Afterlife 4 miss so desired. Now they're trying to bait their time here with a flash. Looking to try and juggle around the arrow. Oh no! Sybil's dead! And Winter Mage's fall on down there. Oh, it's an absolute disaster. They've misplayed it horribly. And now a gank might take place in the river as well as Swaif rocks on through. He acts to try and take down Incursio. He's going to slingshot back, and now Nocturne is 4-0. Right now the hook goes, that spill shields it. Beautiful there from Kissa. He will take the lullaby as a result, and here's Lift on the flanking angle to protect him. Knocks across, disengages and saves Kissa. How is he still alive? Unbelievable.